as you mentioned public services, I have to ask about this because education is my background. And I have been looking with some horror at what's been happening in Scotland for some time in terms of curriculum for excellence and this sort of approach to curriculum taken in Scotland. Is there a sort of sense now across the parties that there does need to be a change in focus, or is there sort of a view that actually this is still the right way of doing things, we just didn't implement it right?
So I don't generally talk about education policy a lot because my wife is the cabinet secretary for education, and I'd quite like to be able to go home.
Go home after.
But what I would maybe just emphasise is on the point about curriculum for excellence. I mean, that was an idea that was introduced by the last Labour government. So it was Peter Peacock, who was the education secretary, that championed the principles of curriculum for excellence. I think there's a pretty moot debate to be had there around whether the ideals of curriculum for excellence haven't been fulfilled because there hasn't been the resource to do it, or whether they were just the wrong ideals. And I'm not going to offer my view on that, Sam, because I would like to go home in peace tonight.
Fair enough. I have my very strong opinion on that.
Tell us it then. You can talk. You can say what you like.
I have opinions on this show. I think the principle of having a curriculum based around what I would call pseudo skills, like aspirations, like creativity and so on, is just not what a curriculum is supposed to do. And a curriculum needs to actually be pretty focused on what children need to know, and then you can build some of those other things around it. But I think it's ended up confusing Scottish teachers and Scottish schools quite badly, and we've ended up in a position where what was a brilliant Scottish education system has according to the OECD anyway, dipped below England's now. So I would encourage whoever is in the next Scottish government to sort of really push hard on taking another look at that. And Wales are going down the same route at the moment, which worries me a lot about Wales. But,
can I ask you another question about that? I'm going to come on the show and throw the format clean out. But I'm always struck by the debate around educational inequality, right? So to what extent, from your expertise, do you think schools can address educational inequality, and how much of that is beyond the school gate?
That's a great question. I mean, I think we've got quite a lot of research on this over many, many decades, and the sort of consensus is about 20%. Schools can deal with about 20% of a child's life chances, but everything else comes down to poverty. And I think that's my big argument in England is actually I think our curriculum is pretty good and our academic performance has been pretty good, and our schools are in trouble because of the big increase in child poverty that we've seen here, and the associated increases in mental health difficulties and in special educational needs as well that we've seen here. So I think you need to have a big investment in that pastoral support precisely because it's critically important, as well as having a really good education. So I think it's almost like flipped. We've got the opposite problems now in terms of education system reform.